and thank you for checking in to the Neutral Zone Hotel, an unapologetically left-leaning podcast exploring hockey at its best and worst. My name is SJ, my pronouns are they, them, and I am a Seattle Kraken fan hailing from the beautiful city of Seattle. I'm so pleased to welcome you to the Neutral Zone Hotel today. Here to ensure your stay is a memorable one are a few of my colleagues.
Hey, I'm Benjamin. I'm sick. My pronouns are he, him. Montreal Canadiens, Ottawa Charge. You've heard it all before.
Hey, it's Trevor. My pronouns are he, him. I'm also at the tail end of being sick, as you might have heard a couple weeks ago. The still very regretful hometown Vancouver Canucks fan.
Regretful again? Back to being regretful? Oh no.
Have you seen the state of the team?
How about that Lane Hutson, buddy? How about Lane Hutson?
That was pretty good.
Little goal defense boy? He's usually a pass boy, but he was a goal boy last night.
Yeah, he got his little goal off of my fancy-dancy defenseman, so I'm sure that was a real enjoyable for you.
Quentin Hughes is the old hotness. Lane Hutson is the new hotness. I think that's how the children say it.
The new hutness?
The new hutness. There it is.
Oh, jeez.
I can hear the regret in SJ's voice already.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've got a great show for you today, despite this apparently being everybody's flu game. We're going to talk about some great stuff, like the WJC. But before that, there's kind of a hockey as a business topic that I wanted to bring up. And this is really the hockey landscape. So, we talk a lot on this show about broadcasters and journalism and just kind of that entire ecosystem surrounding hockey. And a big one is the journalistic outlets that cover the sport. And probably one of the heaviest hitters in that ecosystem is The Athletic, which is a company that was founded as kind of an independent, we're breaking the mold, we're, making changes and bringing in all the great people, and we're going to have, beat writers in every city, a lot, yada, yada, yada. And they got a bunch of market share very quickly. And then they did what all of these kinds of companies tend to do. They sold themselves for a huge profit. And The Athletic sold themselves a couple of years ago, I think it's been now, to the New York Times. And this was quite notable at the time because The Athletic was a non-union organization, and the New York Times is very much a union organization. And this caused a lot of, I would say, strife, because for some reason, I wonder why, none of the Athletic reporters were allowed to say they worked for the New York Times. It was like there was this kind of weird invisible wall. Oh, I'm not a New York Times employee. I work for The Athletic. And over time, the barriers between The Athletic and the New York Times as an organization have kind of slowly crumbled. You might notice now that The Athletic stories you are on the New York Times website. It is. And the New York Times also laid off their entire sports desk. So The Athletic is essentially the sports desk of the New York Times. They do manage it pretty directly now, and they have made the kind of profit maximizing measures that you would expect of a company. Acquiring a company like The Athletic, for instance, they no longer have beat writers in every city. They focus much more on the kind of profitable, high-impact stories. They do a lot of listicles to pretend like they cover the entire league. And yesterday, well, I should say this week, depending upon when you are listening to this, the employees of The Athletic did something that was almost, I would say, pretty inevitable, but I was extremely happy to see. They signed union cards. So the staff of The Athletic has now petitioned to join the New York Times Guild, which is the union of the New York Times, and actually become union employees. Now, we don't know yet whether the New York Times is going to fight the unionization of the athletic staff, or if they will simply bow to what I feel should be inevitable if there's any justice in the world, which there isn't, and simply acknowledge that they are, in fact, real employees of the New York Times. Any barrier that they have created is a fake one, a real flimsy one, and that they are, in fact, deserving of union benefits. So what did my valiant co-hosts think of this move this week? And tell me your thoughts.
I think it's really good. Ultimately, The Athletic was created with venture capital money for the single purpose of getting sold to a major news organization. It was never designed to make money the way it was structured. And by barnstorming the individual cities where various sports entities were, they stole writers from local newspapers, offer them higher paying, if not unionized jobs. Some of them did leave unionized jobs to join it. Some of them were writers who had been laid off due to the various restrictions and coverage. But ultimately, they assembled a very talented group of writers, some of the best in the business, and they turned that into an asset. The Athletic never made money as an independent organization. And it was very clear that when the New York Times bought them, the purpose was to acquire the Athletic subscriber base and then to find a way to make it profitable. And one of those ways, of course, was to reduce their own labor costs by laying off tenured employees who were unionized. And part of it was to accelerate their push to digital by entering a space that the New York Times had been unable to penetrate. And that's what it's for. What I find fascinating about this is not just a push to join the New York Times union. The writers based in Canada have also stood up their own union. So your Canadian-based writers like Arpon and Haley Salvian and Sean McIndoe have also signed union cards and formed a union in Canada that is expected to work in close conjunction with the primary desk in New York. And this is notable because as a multinational organization, like The Athletic is not just in Canada and the United States, it also has people in the United Kingdom for covering Premier League soccer and presumably other areas of the world. It's huge. I don't read everything because I don't give a crap about those sports, but they cover it. Mm-hmm. That makes it very interesting because other countries tend to have better labor protection laws than the United States. So I'm very curious. I think it is good that unionization has come back to the largest sports, vertical in the business. I wish them the best of luck in making it happen. I really, truly do hope they get there. But I am curious what the Grey Lady will do because they are at a very precarious position. And I wouldn't be surprised they decide to dig in and fight it.
Nothing really from me, unfortunately, other than full support, full send, fists in the air. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are listening to this, show some support to The Athletic. If you there's a beat writer that you follow on social media or whatever, show them your support.
It's also if you are a paying subscriber of The Athletic, let them know. Like I reached out to their support just to say, I'm one of the people who actually pays full freight for this. And if you do not accept the union, I will quit. you will no longer get my money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I might need you to like hook me up for that too, because I also pay full freight.
I just went to their support page and sent it in.
Yeah.
All right, good to know. Good to know.
Right.
I will do this. I will follow suit.
Yep. Let your voice be heard, especially if you are a subscriber to the New York Times or to The Athletic. Let them know that you support the union. Awesome. All right. With that, let us move on to other topics. But before we do, you can follow us on Instagram or Bluesky at Neutral Zone Hotel, all one word. You can join our Discord at neutralzonehotel.com/Discord if you'd like to hang out with us. And if you like this episode, please rate us 5 stars on your podcast platform of choice. We're also available on YouTube at Neutral Zone Hotel. Smash that like button, subscribe, and leave comments. I will read them eventually. You can also send comments to feedback at Neutral Zone Hotel or our Discord. Actually, joining the Discord and leaving comments there is really the best way to just have a conversation with us about the show and the stuff that we talk about, and we love to do that. And when we come back, World Juniors.
We interrupt this podcast with a breaking news bulletin. That's right, you heard right. The NHL, in its infinite wisdom, is putting not 1, but 2 outdoor ice hockey games in the state of Florida early in 2026. A further testament to man's hubris and inability to see what's in front of them. But am I going to go? Yeah, probably. Anyway, probably more on that next week.
All right, folks, we are back, and I am very excited.
I'm glad one of us is.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty cool to actually that the United States has now won back-to-back gold medals at the World Juniors Championships. This is the first time the U.S. has ever done it. And I thought the gold medal game was pretty fun. Somebody here even managed to attend. Benjamin, tell us about going to the gold medal game.
Yeah, so tickets for the gold medal game plummeted from like $500 for the nosebleed to $90 as soon as Canada was eliminated. So my buddy who's volunteers with Hockey Canada, met her, very nice lady. He had gotten 2 tickets to the game for his wife and daughter, and then we decided if the prices went down, we were going to try to go. So we were going to get resale tickets in row J in section 120, so about 10 seats up, 12 seats up from just behind the American net. And yeah, we got to watch the game, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, 16,500 plus people there in a game Canada wasn't involved in. The crowd was very much on Finland's side, but there was probably about 1,500 actual Americans there. We met a nice group from Akwesasne, which is a Mohawk settlement reserve that's right on the border of Canada and the United States. Really nice group of people. It was a lot of fun. I also saw the USA-Finland game in person the week before, which was a much better hockey game. Team USA came out very flat. Finland played a very good, aggressive, fast game and went up by 3 goals very quickly. But around 5 minutes into the second, Finland slowed down, tried to grind it out, and the United States is a bigger, stronger team. Full credit to the United States. They won the game. They were helped by the referees deciding not to call anything. There were a lot of egregious penalties, and that favored the U.S. in the end as the stronger team. But they were able to grind it out. And in overtime, shots were like 9 USA, 1 Finland. You can't expect to win a tournament if you don't put shots on net. In Finland, it didn't feel like they were trying. So it was really nice. It was fun. We got to watch the presentation of the medals and the player of the game and the MVPs. Finland's Rempinen winning the MVP, not the MVP, the best goaltender was well regarded by the crowd. He played his heart out, and you could tell he felt a little let down by his team at the end. Axel Sundin Pellikka winning the MVP was not surprising at all. I saw Finland versus Czechia, and he was a truly dominant player. I actually saw Detroit's head scout in the building. He was sitting in the box behind us. So They were still checking stuff out. I guess they were there for Trey Augustine because he's obviously a Detroit prospect. Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. The World Juniors, they were incredible. I got to go to 3 games, and I had a ton of fun at every single one of them. It's really challenging for Canada that they lost and didn't just lose, but failed to get to medal contention in 2 tournaments in a row. Mm-hmm. And to be completely honest, it's not surprising. The United States sent their very, very best players, and Canada didn't. Canada did not send their best coach. Sorry, Dave Cameron.
Are you, though?
Well, not really.
That's
the United States sent a coach who is probably going to end up in the NHL one of these days, very, very soon. What do you expect? The shocker for me was Finland failing to medal for the second year in a row.
You mean Sweden?
Yeah, I do. The shocker was Sweden failing to medal, being put out of in the semis by Czechia or by Finland at the last minute, and then losing to Czechia again in the bronze medal game, again with a late goal. That is devastating for that program. They have only won that tournament once in 44 years. And when you think about the talented players that have come out of Sweden, that is an aberration. It shouldn't be. And this team, like that Sweden team, when I saw them against Czechia the first time, they dominated Czechia. They crushed them. And it was only Edouard Chalet he's the only one who did anything that resembled offense. I was a little surprised he wasn't named the MVP to the tournament team. I know he wasn't the highest scoring Czech, but I thought he was the best Czech player. Everything else made sense. It was the right choice. Latvia gets to go home with a win over Canada, and hopefully that helps their program go. Kazakhstan seemed to have a great growth opportunity, even though they got relegated. They almost didn't. It was very close. I really wanted to go to that game, but I was working that day, and it was at 11 o'clock in Canada, so... Oof. But I would have loved to have seen it, because I watched a lot of it, and it was fun. It was a good hockey game. Kazakhstan was much better than Germany was expecting, you could tell. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good tournament. It'll be in Minneapolis next year, and then back in Canada every 2 years the next few years. So hopefully it ends up in Seattle or out west sometime soon.
Oh, that would be great.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, I've already gotten to seeing the World Juniors about 6 years ago, so it's your turn, SJ. A lot of great storylines. Benjamin, you alluded to Kazakhstan almost not getting relegated, but let's not sleep on the fact that they almost beat Slovakia.
Yeah.
Granted, Slovakia almost shot themselves in the foot by allowing 2 shorthanded goals in the last minute, but give Kazakhstan all the credit for having the heart and the guts to go for it, like with that. And yeah, Chalet was one of the main reasons that Czechia even won the bronze in a 14-round shootout, no less, scoring in the 13th round to keep them alive and then scoring in the 14th round. Like, there was only... I think out of those 14 rounds, Czechia only scored 3 times, and he had at least 2, if not all 3 of them. Yeah. Absolutely bonkers. And yeah, as you also mentioned, Finland beating Sweden in that semi was almost unfair by how badly Sweden outplayed Finland in that overtime. It was just, I believe Finland had the power play and just got a lucky shot through.
Yeah, and it's a shame for those of us who love hockey that we did not get to see that Swedish team play that American team, because I believe that would have been an epic tilt, because for everything that the Americans brought, Sweden seemed to have somebody who was just as good on the other side, including the slightly iffy goaltending. Sweden actually changed their goaltender for the last game after the guy who started the tournament let in 2 real softies against Finland. Like that, the game winner in the semifinal was soft. And I don't know if you saw it, but he was cheating. He should have been up on his post, and he was cheating. And I don't remember who scored the goal, the Finn who scored the goal, but he faked a pass. He was on the blue line on the left, or on the red line on the left, faked the pass across the crease, and then just shot it right in, like picked a spot. You can't let that in as a goal.
Yeah, like it was like it was a 5-hole, but like the pad was like at such an angle that's like it was a pretty wide open hole that just shouldn't be there.
Just shouldn't be there.
Yeah, Latvia, of course, getting that W over Canada is great. But, and especially for a country of only like 1.5 million people, what a boost to that country. But if anything, too, that is also just an indictment on Hockey Canada when countries that are that small, or even smaller in terms of Finland and Sweden, are just that much better than you. It's become old, it's become bloated. It just...
Ultimately...
It needs a reality check.
Oh, well, I think that as Canadians, it is unbecoming of us to sit atop a hockey throne and assume we are untouchable. Even if we had the best coach and the best players, we could have still lost that game because the Latvian goalie went, well, this is the biggest stage I'm ever going to be on in my life. I might as well make something of it. And Canada got goalied, and they would have gotten goalied if they had brought their top offensive tools. They might have gotten an extra goal through, but they also might not have. So, like, let's be 100% clear. There is no guarantee that Canada wins that game. Good teams get goalied all the time. Bad teams beat good teams all the time.
And to that point, I remember when a lot of people were like losing their absolute mind over this. And I was just like, oh, this just reminds me of the 2014 Olympics when Canada was like, they had pretty much their best team there. And they nearly got goalied by a guy that no one else has really ever heard of. Does the name Kristers Gudlevskis come to mind? So SJ, I think it was the quarterfinals in the medal round. Canada puts in like 56 shots on net versus Latvia's like 13, and Canada won 2-1.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Which was, if I recall, that's the only goal Carey Price let in during the medal round.
Yep. Because then they shut out the States and they shut out Sweden.
Because that was Carey Price's magnum opus year, right?
Yeah. It was art. But Latvia, and they nearly tied it too, because I can vividly remember where they had a line change where the puck is in the Latvian end, and one of their players is like cherry picking right as the puck comes out. Clear cut breakaway from the red line, like no Canadians even close, and Carey Price robs them. But it was that close to Latvia pulling off a big upset against the absolute best that Canada has to offer.
I mean 2002, Belarus beat Sweden for the medal, for the bronze
the Tommy
medal.
Salo.
Yeah.
The Tommy Salo shot.
Yeah, so like, any good team can lose any game of hockey. That is why the Stanley Cup final is a best of 7 and not one game. So again, like as a group, I don't look at those kids and think the kids didn't try. They tried.
No,
they cared. I think that Hockey Canada didn't send the best team, and I think that's philosophical issues. But that doesn't mean that Latvia wouldn't have beaten Canada. It doesn't mean that Canada would have won any of the games that they lost. It is harder, I think, for Canadians to admit that the world is slowly catching up.
I mean, I don't even think it's that slowly, but...
Well, I mean, it's been 30 years, right? But the United States is clearly caught up. The United States National Development Team has done an excellent job in developing young superstars. And the CHL still does a great job, but it also has more chances, right? Finland, Sweden, Czechia, They are almost there. Russia is a little bit different because we don't know right now. But the other nations are sending great players. And every time you get a Leon Draisaitl or you get a breakthrough from a place like Austria or wherever, hockey gets bigger in that country and it makes the next one more likely to happen. So we have to accept that this is not going to stop happening, even if we have the human mixture of Barry Trotz at his best, plus Scotty Bowman, plus Joel Quenneville with all the bad stuff taken out. You blend your best coaches and your best general managers from the last 60 years into two superhumans. Canada can still lose games. Canada can still lose tournaments. So, and ultimately, Canada got goalied by Latvia, and the United States won because they were the better team by far in that game. And then they lost to Czechia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Czechia.
Because Czechia was the better team.
And one other fun thing too is just it's very fun to kind of point out that no team really had a smooth road through. Like the United States was probably the closest because they only lost one game. Like they lost the one game in overtime, but even then they still lost, and it was to a Finnish team that all Canadians can, like, if they really wanted to inhale some coffee and be like, oh yeah, we shut them out. But I just noticed it was like a very fun circle of, Canada beats Finland, who beats the States, who beats this team, who beat Canada, like beat this team, who beat Canada. Just a very fun little cyclical
rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, kind of. No team like really, truly could say, "Oh yeah, no, we crushed this."
Yeah,
there's always like one caveat being like, but,
and that's a good thing.
Parody. Apparently, Carrie Bedwin knows what's up.
I don't think I'd call it parody. But I would say it is. It's not parody, but it does mean that other programs are getting better.
And if it makes the hockey better, then that's just ultimately a good thing.
That's right.
And I think the hockey was really good. I didn't manage to catch much of the pool play. I did buy my parents a new TV though, so maybe next year. And then, but what I did manage to catch was really good hockey. It was fun to watch, and I'm really excited about the future for a lot of these players. It was really awesome to see Chalet have such a good tournament. He has really bounced back in Coachella Valley this year. He is a Kraken prospect. And it makes me feel pretty good about his future, his possible future as a Kraken. So yeah, that was awesome. It should give him a ton of confidence going into the rest of the year as well. And yeah, were there any prospects that you guys got like really caught your eye or people you're excited about?
I mean, not really. The only prospect I was looking at for was Tom Willander, and gotta say, it kind of sucked to see him in the penalty box when the game-winning goal was scored in that semifinal, but what are you gonna do?
Willander was quite good, but like Sending Pellico is by far the best player of the tournament. Ryan Leonard was very good for the United States. Rimpinen, the Finnish goalie, is undrafted at age 19. And he will probably continue to be undrafted because he's only 6 feet tall. But he's going to get some looks because he had an excellent tournament.
Somebody should just pick him up with the 7th rounder, like this year. I mean, somebody's just got to do it.
I don't know if he's I think he will re-enter after that performance, and hopefully somebody does grab him. But if not, I wouldn't be surprised if NHL scouts start talking to him. He will probably be he's playing in SM Liga right now. Hold on, let me pull up. Elite Prospects. I love EP.
And like, sure, he might be short, but like we've seen Finnish short kings just absolutely dominate in net.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Cesaros.
Yeah, there's no. Apologies. He is 18, so he was draft eligible last year. He currently is playing for Kieko Espoo in Liga, so in the men's league, not the U20 league. So he's not in SM, sorry, SM. And he's 24 games played. He's got a 916 save percentage. He's 11-5-7. So that is pretty good.
You know who loves Finnish
for
goalies?
a 18-year-old in a men's league.
Ron Francis loves Finnish goalies. We actually, the backup goaltender for Finland who did not play, Kim Saarinen, he did a great job opening the door, opening and closing the door. He's a Kraken prospect. Like, Francis drafted him. Jesus. So.
Do you know who else? Who else loves Finnish goalies?
Who's that?
The Nashville Predators.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they just.
Rene and Saros.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I
also, so that brings me to one other subject I wanted to cover from the World Juniors. The absolute eclectic display of jerseys I got to see.
Oh, yeah, it's such a good jersey tournament. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw, obviously, a collection of NHL jerseys supporting players from the country that you're going to see, like a Henrik Lundqvist jersey when I'm seeing Team Sweden, or a total brain fart, Kiprasov jersey, Calgary Flames jersey for Finland games. But my favorites were Leafs jersey on the back, no cup since 67 is the number.
The classic.
That was good. I saw a Team USA Charlie Conway from the 1995 Goodwill Games. Number 96.
Good jersey.
Good. You know what? It was, they're not bad jerseys at all. And I would say the other very good jersey I saw was the, what's his name? Sorry, I'm sick and my recall is slow. The Rupe Hintz neon green Dallas Stars jersey.
The blackout one. Oh, so those are so nice.
They look really nice in person. I did see a Kraken jersey for reference. Someone was wearing one. I did not see any Canucks jerseys, but I did see people from Sweden wearing Sedin and Sedin jerseys.
Yeah.
Team Sweden, Sedin and Sedin jerseys.
Yeah. Heck yeah, that rules. Love my boys.
They were from the very north of Sweden. They were very excited to be in Canada.
That's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah, that was good.
The PWHL game in Seattle was also a great jersey game because it's women's hockey. People just bring whatever jersey they own. So, like, every junior team was represented, a lot of different NHL teams. A bunch of people had PWHL jerseys. So, I know. Yeah, it was great.
We're going to talk about this more in depth next week. Well, you are. I'm not going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
I will be at a Charge game.
Yeah,
right,
fair enough.
Yeah.
So, and then, because by next week I'll have also been to the takeover in Vancouver. So SJ, you and I can compare and contrast, just gush about how fun it was, or how fun I presume it will be.
I had a great time. So that's just a little teaser.
Would you say that the vibes at the game were great?
I would say that the vibes were pretty good. Yeah.
Speaking of vibes.
Vibes Cup, it's the Vibes Cup. Vibes Cup, it's the Vibes Cup. Presenting the Vibes Cup.
Guess what, everybody? It's that time of year. It's the midway point of the season, somehow. So SJ, you and I did this about a month ago or so. Benjamin, I'm glad you're here. It's always nice to have another voice. But it's time to once again kind of touch on how the vibes are for our favorite teams and some of the vibes in some of the other markets. SJ, how are the vibes in Seattle?
I would say they're pretty stinky. Stinky poo-poo. I would have to.
That's the rotting fish over at the Pike Place there.
Oh, I hope there's no rotting fish at Pike Place. Yeah, I'd say it's like the rotting fish in the bay, the algal bloom possibly on Lake Washington. That must be it. It can't possibly be how bad the team is. Oh yeah, we're not going to make the playoffs this year, guys. We have now slipped to. We have a worse record than the Ducks, who have been on a bit of a heater lately.
Quack.
Okay. I didn't realize it was that bad. Holy smokes.
Yeah. We're under the Ducks.
Yikes. Oof.
It's not great. Not great. I would say that overall the team is underperforming the roster. Like, they should be better than this. It doesn't help that we have run into quite a bit of injury problems lately.
I can relate to that.
How about you?
But before we get
how are the vibes in Vancouver, Trevor? I understand you're a reluctant Canucks fan again.
I'm regretful. If I say the vibes are like a 1, would you be willing to accept this?
I mean,
if we're grading on a bell curve, then you have to convince me the vibes are worse there than the Rangers. I think there's an argument for it. But the Rangers are pretty stinky.
Okay. Counterpoint. Do the Rangers have a public spat between two of their best players that have taken over a month?
No, they have a public spat between their general manager and the entire fucking team.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. However, so I went to a Canucks game on December the 16th against the Avalanche that they won. Since that game, the last 9 games, lost 32 in overtime to the Hockey Club, including blowing a 2-goal lead. Lost to the Golden Knights, lost in overtime to the Senators, beat the Sharks by 1 where they almost blew a 3-goal lead. Oh, and then Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes went down with injuries in the same game. Lost to the Kraken in overtime, including blowing another 3-goal lead, all of which in the last 5 minutes of the third period.
That was an incredible game.
SJ, I'm sure you were happy about that. Lost to the Flames, beat the Kraken in a shootout, which once again almost featured did feature a blown 2-goal lead. You'll notice that this is starting to become a trend here.
Ew.
Got shut out by the Predators, and then lost to the Canadiens in overtime, including, once again, blowing a 2-goal lead.
Well, to be fair, the Habs are officially a wagon now,
This is true, and we'll get into that soon. However, it's going to get worse for the Canucks, because here is their next 10 games, and I want you all to quickly tell me, after I tell you what their game is, if you think the Canucks have a decent chance or bet what their chances of winning the game are. All right. Tomorrow, as of recording, at Washington.
Not great. Although they haven't been as good since Ovechkin came back, and I'm not sure what to think of that.
At Carolina.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to take the silence as bad. At Toronto the very next night.
The Leafs have been distressingly good this year.
At Winnipeg.
Oh, yeah. They might be in trouble.
At home against Los Angeles.
I don't know. I still don't believe in the Kings.
At home against Edmonton.
Oh, they're screwed. Screwed there, yeah.
At home against Buffalo.
They could win that one. Buffalo is...
I think that's one. Buffalo's going on a heater. Calm down.
On the road against Edmonton.
No chance.
At home against Washington.
Maybe.
And to finish off the 10-game stretch, on the road in St. Louis.
They might win that one.
Winnable.
Yeah,
Winnable.
At least Quinn Hughes is back. Petey's still out. I'm in absolute agony.
I mean, the upside of Pettersson being out is that Miller should be playing better.
Well, he had a 4-point game yesterday, but that's the first thing he's done since he came back.
Yeah, because Petey was there. Now he's not.
Well, Petey's also not been there for the last 4 or 5 games. It took him long enough.
You don't expect JT Miller to recover from his millennial brace trauma that instantly, do you? He's younger than me. But
I mean, to be fair, I think the entire roster is younger than you. So, I mean, to be fair, the entire roster,
the entire NHL is younger than me now that Mark Giordano's done.
Wait,
Oof.
are you younger or older than than Fleury?
I believe I am slightly older than Mark.
Because I believe he's now the oldest player in the league.
He is the oldest.
He is the oldest, yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I can't say much. I think there's only like one.
I am 1 month and 20 days older than him.
I mean, I'm older than everyone except for Tyler Myers on the Canucks, so I can't say much at this point.
It's a young man's league.
Yep. Regardless, everything is pain. I am misery. The Canucks are missing the playoffs. Team tank. Just woo. This sucks. Trade Miller.
I mean, you guys might get it back. I wouldn't count them out yet, but the window is closing. Surprising things can happen. Teams that you don't expect, teams that you expect to be lottery teams can be in the mix suddenly after a hot month.
I wonder who you might be referring to.
With Montreal Canadiens. So the Habs are kind of out of nowhere. They were very bad the first month of the year, especially defensively. They were just atrocious, and they've made some changes, called up Struble. They've traded for Alex Carrier from the Predators, and he seems to be doing very well. And just overall seem to have gelled their lines a little bit better. Laine came back. Now he's been out for the flu, but he's been a power play goal merchant. But the real story for the Habs this year is Lane Hutson, who is, let me get the numbers up, third on the team with 30 points in 40 games as a rookie. Cole Caulfield has 22 goals and 16 assists, and Nick Suzuki is scoring at a point per game pace. But Jake Evans has 10, Brendan Gallagher has 10, somehow Emil Heineman has 10. Laine has 8, and again in only 13 games.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
So the offense has been just enough. Sam Montembeault has been very good. He did not get the call to go to the Four Nations, but you have to think he's looking more and more like an option for the Olympic team, especially if the Four Nations options do not do well. And they called up Jakub Dobeš from Laval in place of Caden Primo. Primo has been one of the worst goaltenders in the NHL this year. Dobeš has been very good. We got to see him last year, Trevor. In fact, in one of the better games the Rocket played, where they actually beat the team that eventually won the league, and the Bears.
Yeah, and didn't the Bears have like the best record in the AHL ever that season?
Yeah, they actually got a win off them while we were there, which is pretty cool.
That didn't even like occur to me. Yeah, because he would have been the goalie that night, huh?
He was. Yeah, it was Dobeš, and started off with a shutout and then let in one goal in the next game. So very much Montreal is having a little bit of a resurgence. The end result is that a team that everyone expected to be a lottery contender is currently in a playoff spot, at least until the Ottawa-Detroit game ends tonight.
I would like a point of order. Montembeault was picked as the third goalie for Canada for the Four Nations.
Was he?
Yeah.
Really?
He's on the roster.
Damn. Well, even better. Look at that.
He's gonna look great
I
in
could have
this suit.
sworn he wasn't picked.
I'm looking at the roster. He's on the list.
Jordan Binnington is going to get kicked out of the tournament when he goes Ron Hextall on somebody in the first game.
Wonderful. Yeah. I'm gonna be a bit of a slight downer. Ottawa is currently winning, so Montreal's playoff spot might be slim pickings. I will say it is very cool to see all 7 Canadian teams in like decent playoff contention.
I don't think Montreal makes the playoffs. Like I think that the PDO came back to earth and then it went positive for a little while, and I do think that down the stretch they're going to fade. But the fact that they're here at this moment is good when you consider the level of reinforcements that are still coming, specifically Ivan Demidov and Jacob Fowler. So Montreal is very much in a strong position to continue to grow on success this year. I don't think they're making the playoffs, or if they do, it'll be an 8th seed to get knocked out in 5. But I'm happy for the ride, and like ultimately, they beat all of the last 5 Stanley Cup champions because the Lightning won twice. So
whoever wins the Blue Jackets Penguins game tonight is going to jump.
Oh, that's rude.
Yeah.
How dare they?
Go ahead.
good on the Blue Jackets being in that mix too. That's pretty fun.
Yeah, like we SJ and I talked about that last time we talked about the Vibe Cup. Like Columbus, honestly, we think they had like some of the better vibes, especially considering what happened at the start of the year, and just seeing their surprising success and just how they've rallied is still really cool. So if we want to do another quick touch over, like we of course alluded to the Rangers having poor vibes, and that hasn't changed. I think we gave them losers of the quarter last time.
It's gotten worse. It's gotten worse since then.
I would say Vancouver might be there, but that's biased. I'm still willing to give it to the Rangers as like the worst vibes out of the league right now. But what are some other teams that we think have some great vibes right now?
The Caps.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ovi just Russian machine never breaks, except for when he broke and then came back just fine.
Yeah, when he broke his leg and came back like a month later. Who comes back after a month to play sports from broken leg?
And then he's like, oh, hey, I still know how to score goals.
Professional athletes. I would say the vibes have really picked up in Colorado since the goaltending change. They have they've come back pretty well and are, third in the Central. They're only 3 points back of Minnesota.
The big difference there is, Blackwood is exactly what they were hoping for when they acquired him. He has continued to post half a goal per game above expected and continues to rack up wins. So, like Money Puck's WAR has him at 2.25, like something like 4.4 of that's already in Colorado. So he's absolutely, like, I think if Blackwood was playing this well from the start of the year, he's in the Vezina conversation. He's not going to win it. Connor Hellebuck's going to win it, but he is playing that good.
I'm going to throw out 2 Eastern Conference teams, one of which hurts me to say. I'm going to start with the other one first. I'm going to throw out the Devils, who've been pretty good this year, but it also helps that they seem to be having some wizardry, especially in the last game. SJ, I'm sorry to bring this up, but Jacob Markstrom robbed the ever-loving piss out of your team 3 times last game, including one of the most bonkers saves I've seen in the last decade.
I'm disappointed that you don't get extra fantasy points for the fancier saves.
Right? Like, puck's in the air, he's on his back, and somehow while he's watching it float over top of him, he still has the wherewithal to take his stick and just be like, ugh, and just gets enough on it to smack it out of midair. If you haven't seen a replay of this, please do yourself a favor. Look this up. It is baffling.
I'm not ready. It's too soon. I'll watch a replay.
He had like 2 other. He had 2 other just absolute stone cold robberies as well that game. And like New Jersey under Sheldon Keefe, we kind of figured that they'd be good, but they've definitely lived up to expectations.
They were on a little bit of a losing streak going into that game, so it's always nice to see the Kraken being another team's get-right game again. That happens all the time, though. Yeah.
And the only reason they're not winning their division is because Washington's like, hey, guys, remember us? But, and the one that hurts the most to say, vibes are kind of good in Toronto.
The whole thing in Toronto is they're very, nobody knows what's wrong with Austin Matthews.
I thought it was like a back thing.
It's very nebulous. It's just it's always an undisclosed injury. It could be anything.
But he keeps retweaking it, whatever it is.
And he's like hopeful that it'll be fully healed eventually. But the point is they're winning a bunch of games without their captain. They've become a more defensively minded team. They've got the bottom six clicking better than Sheldon Keefe ever did.
They've got a better defense this year. Just like the roster, the defensive roster is better than it's ever been.
And Stolars and Woll have been good.
Yep.
Like, you take away 69 goals worth of production from Matthews last year. He's up to 13 this year. And somehow they're winning their division. And it's not like... They're 4 points up on Florida. They're 9 points up on Boston with a game in hand. Tampa is 12 points back with like 4 games in hand. But even if they win that out, that still leaves them tied with Florida. Like, they're giving themselves a pretty good cushion.
I think
one thing that they've really benefited from this year is that Tavares is having a great bounce back.
Yeah, he's got the amulet. You're required to make fun of that if you're a podcaster. It's required by law.
That's true.
I
think that's part of it. It helps replace the offense they're missing from Matthews. But I think the other part of it is Craig Berube is just a better coach for this team. And that's not a drag on Keefe, who I think has actually proven he's a pretty good coach in Jersey right now. But with the roster and with the specific deficiencies and with the specific goals that Toronto Maple Leafs have, Berube has them playing a type of hockey that is a lot more sustainable.
But none of it means anything until the playoffs.
No, but the way they're playing now is the type of way that I think adapts more easily to the playoffs than the way they were winning games in the regular seasons under Sheldon Keefe.
Yep.
All right. Who do we think deserves the Vibes Cup this quarter? Like, basically, where are the vibes the best? For those who do not have video, Benjamin is wearing a Montreal Canadiens hoodie and is just...
Nobody has video. We don't do a video podcast, Trevor.
I mean, we could. We do have one video clip up on social media somewhere. But just gave a nice little pinch downwards, nice little rub over the Montreal Canadiens thing. And you know what? I can buy it.
Sure, let's give it to the Habs.
Between Lane's return, Lane Hudson, and just getting into the mix, I like the vibes are pristine right now.
That's rookie points leader, Lane Hudson, to everyone else.
Oh, is he leading now? That's so
he's
good.
leading now.
I would love him to win the Calder. That would make me a happy
He's not going to win.
As a side note, the Calder race this year, is so cool.
It's going to be Macklin Celebrini or Matvey Michkov, but
it's going to be Celebrini.
Hudson's still making a solid case. Dustin Wolf is making a decent case in Calgary.
They never give it to goalies, though.
The last time they gave it to a goalie, the goalie turned out not to be so good.
Sorry, Andrew Raycroft.
It's not correct. It was Steve Mason.
Oh, is it? Oh man, so that's 2 in a row then, huh?
Yeah. And
at least Mason had a career, I guess.
SJ, are you familiar with Andrew Raycroft?
No.
We'll save that tale for another time. But it's very funny.
I'm going to tell you. Andrew Raycroft was the Calder-winning goaltender in Boston that Toronto traded for 1-for-1 with Tuukka Rask going back. Raycroft was out of the league within a couple of seasons, and Tuukka Rask became Tuukka Rask.
Oh,
I should point out, this is Tuukka Rask as like a drafted prospect before he played an NHL game.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, the Leafs had 2 of the top goaltenders from the World Juniors that year. One was a good Canadian kid called Justin Pogge, who I think played a grand total of 1 NHL game. The other was Tuukka Rask. Rask probably had the better tournament, but Pogge was very good as well. And they went, well, we've got a goalie prospect we like. We want a goalie now. So let's get rid of the goalie prospect we don't want to keep, who's... Anyway,
he's not a good Canadian boy.
It didn't work out well for them. Other winners of the Calder's goaltenders is Evgeny Nabokov, Martin Brodeur, Ed Belfort, Tom Barrasso, Ken Dryden, Tony Esposito, Roger Crozier, Glenn Hall, Gump Worsley, Terry Sawchuk. So yeah, it is an aberration that the last 2 winning have not turned out to be literal Hall of Famers. Nabokov's never going to make the Hall of Fame, but other than that...
It's been a while, though.
Yeah, 09 was the last time a goalie won.
Nabokov's got something that all but one of those goalies on that list has, at least. He's got a goal.
Yeah, he does have a goal.
I should know. I was in Vancouver. Well, the goal was in Vancouver. I've seen it way too many times.
There you go.
Arg. Anyway, so yeah, Vibes Cup to Montreal. Congratulations. SJ, do we got anything else, or we want to wrap this up?
Yeah, let's wrap it up. You have been listening to The Neutral Zone Hotel, which is written, hosted, and produced by the Neutral Zone Hotel crew. Find out more at neutralzonehotel.com. Big thanks to Emily Mowbray for designing our fabulous logo. You can follow us on Instagram or Bluesky at Neutral Zone Hotel, or email us at feedback@neutralzonehotel.com. You can join our Discord at www.neutralzonehotel.com/discord if you want to hang out with us. And if you like this episode, please rate us 5 stars on your podcast platform of choice, or click the like button if you're listening on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening.